and saw Trasko's, in theory, terrible stats, and decided to choose into it. But it's not a bad map for them at all. Those teams they've been taken down have been fairly notable names, rather. Wins a 16-4 win over Enterprise. They did lose it to Tricked in Copenhagen Flames, but they put up decent performances in that. And one thing you were mentioning to me was the fact that both teams have played a Russian mixed team called Maybe on it with some recognizable names. And in the case of Trasko, a 16-6 win, and in the case of the Overpass, a 16-11. So we'll see how this goes down, but already we are into the action, Wolfie.
Already on the A site, Railway already with a quick pick, but it's immediately traded back and actually bettered by Foster as he takes out X5. Davkos the next to fall. They tried to play a heavy A lead in the IRAE. They headed instead towards B on the Trasko side of things, and now this 2v4 retake really needs a pick to get it going. There isn't a defuse kit on the board either, so as Daneko takes the head off of Hurt Frisk, Flowing is left. Just scrambling. Anything he can possibly grab would be fantastic. But dinked up, down to 3 HP. Temple will find the conversion. And a nice smooth pistol round for Trasko, just out-aiming their opposition on multiple occasions.
Yeah, indeed, just a straight-up rushing towards B, and just in general, having a look at some of the wins Trasko have been getting, they look pretty solid. They've kind of just come out of nowhere, and over the last couple of months, or month or so especially, have been taking down some pretty decent victories. I suppose it's once you're given your opportunity. If you're not given it before, you won't really have much of a chance, and I'll try and name some of these wins. So they've beat Tricked, they've beat Enterprise, they gave Namiga a good run for their money on 1 out of 2 maps at least, they beat Copenhagen Flames, they've given AGO a run for their money, taking a map off them. It's definitely an impressive showing to me, so I'm excited to see how they play throughout this matchup. Excited to look at the players. Of course, Wonderful, he was the one that stood out to me immediately. He has fantastic stats, 1.35 rating, I think, over the past few months. His consistency seems amazing, and he's only 16 years old. As, well, Railway once again actually finds a pretty good opening from back here. This time with the boost coming in, he actually gives the first blood to INDA IRAE.
Counter boost set up. Lots of damage done through that smoke, though. Railway down to 5. In trouble, and Foster, well, a little fortunate there, was just starting to fade away from that. 1 bullet connects, and of course on 5 HP, that's all it needs. So they will be able to level things out. 4 on 4 now, and only a Mach 10 drop. Deep drop into short water as well, so really nothing the CTs can do about recovering that. They have got a 3-man stack, however, at the moment, over towards this A site. 3 players, the Deagles, Davkos on the Scout. It's not a bad little set, and with 40 seconds left, as we're going to see Trasko resetting their utility, there is still potential to have impact. X5 in towards the barrels is going to be the first problem. Playing the headshot angle, nice tags onto Foster. He's down to 17, and now this stack on the site seems brilliant. Wonderful does very well to deal with 1, though, and Daneko starts to put the nails into the coffin. 2 players low. Davkos will be able to deal with 1, but again, he's quickly traded away. Trasko, whilst they struggle initially, are doing a fantastic job of trading into that lower site. And now again, with the bomb down, a 1v3. If a second player was tagged up, Flowing may just fancy a go at this. But knowing that Foster is likely the only player low on HP, he'll tuck himself into the corner, look for an exit. Of course, this was the force buy from the CT side as well. So Trasko getting away with 3 players kept alive is absolutely fantastic.
And keeping up the rifles as well. A couple of Galils and AK onto the Foster, and as you said, Flowing not really able to do anything about it. Would have been nice if he could have got an upgrade or maybe another kill or 2 even just off the MP9. He hangs onto it. It'll give him something in this next round where otherwise INDA IRAE are just looking at a full eco. I don't think too many pistols even will be pulled out. In the case of Davkos, you want to be saving towards the op, of course. Davkos had some decent moments from what I recall yesterday. X5, though, he was, to me, probably the standout. And then Railway and Hurtfrisk also had their moments, as well as Flowing. So I guess everyone was kind of was there for something, but it seemed like X5 was the one who was able to consistently do it across the maps.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be the concern. You're going to need more than one person to step up when you're on a map that you've only played once in HLTV officials in the last 3 months. Going to try something a little different here, knowing they haven't really got the firepower. A 2-man short setup. Davkos the first to go, but he's only baiting in for the MP9. Flowing does well, and Toxic does even better to react to the danger, keep them in the ascendancy on the T side of things. They've spotted out the aggression. Hurtfrisk trying to make his way up. Railway has dealt with Temple in towards Connector, though, and now with the Khalil recovered, you can see the T side starting to get a little worried. Toxic playing anti-flash, manages the 180. And out of absolutely nowhere, Hurtfrisk has got himself a 1v3, tries to play into the molly, can't quite grab it. They're even going to put their molly out to make sure they save all 3 AKs. Trasko playing it very nicely in these opening engagements. It's been a little scrappy for me, but otherwise a solid start from the T side.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, bit scrappy, could be cleaner, but they are winning the rounds, which is the main thing. And also, they have also gone in pretty heavy on the rifles, obviously, meaning they don't want to lose too many. But it also ensures there's not reinvestment needed into this opening gun round, and they just come straight in, having everything into that buy. And, well, you do see also in the IRAE being able to pull out everything, including the up on Davcost, as we mentioned. But again, a very quick B push coming through from Trasko. The smoke looking to be played around by X5, not able to get anything done. And then Fostar just flies into the pit, mid-air, then taking the trade for himself with that AK. And, well, suddenly, again, you have the man advantage for Trasko. They've got control of B, the bomb goes down. And they don't currently have a kit in their possession either, meaning a quick kill is going to be needed if they want to move forward. And, well, they don't look to want to move forward. Flowin's already backing away. Davcost with the up isn't, which is surprising.
It's just hanging around looking for an exit, which feels a little bold. As you said, it's the most heavily invested into player on the entire CT side, so lurking around late. It's never going to be the greatest idea in the world, but IRAE just getting caught off by the fast B play there. They look to be well set. They look to be in solid positions. But again, I think this is where the experience of a team who play a map like Overpass, you know, frequently are going to start to show. They had the flashes in place. They had the right men in the right spots at the right times. And the flashes just kept the CT side back until there was nothing more they could do. 3 players kept up as well for the T side. Continues starting to build that bank account up. Will be a force, of course, from IRAE. 2 safe rifles form the backbone. Not too many sacrifices either. Hurt Frisk, there's a rifle on the floor for him. Decent utility across the board for the CT side, but of course, if this one goes wrong, definitely looking at the half buy.
It wouldn't be ideal. It'd give Trasko a fantastic opportunity, and, well, again, it's just going to be the straight up B rush out through the monster smoke. This time not starting off with an entry, instead Hurtfrisk, despite being blinded up slightly, able to hold strong and topple Temple. And they are just at this point hoping to waste as much time as possible from the pit. Hurtfrisk actually goes in on top of the barrel, flash over to allow a peek, catches the Neko, then blinded up. And I believe he did confirm there was another player around Monster still. It's actually Toxic who's heavily committed through with that bomb as well. Caught in the close corner, goes down, and, well, now it's all onto Wonderful, and he doesn't even have the bomb in his possession. He has tons of time, but that's really the only positive I can find. This 1-on-5 really shouldn't be achievable unless IRAE just throw the players at him.
Time to try something else, I think. Repeated attempts at the fast B hit. This one shut down at source. IRAE looking much more solid on the defense that time round. All 5 players kept up as well. Somewhat critically, their economy is a little bit all over the shop. This has given them a nice baseline now. The utility that to be reinvested is minimal as well. Trasko. They gave that several attempts, and I think now that it has failed once, expect to see them having a little more respect for IRAE, I think is the polite way to put it. A little bit more of a default coming out. Couple of players going to head towards the fountain. Putting a little pressure on early. Temple does miss the initial flashbang, but Davcost not there to punish. And yeah, much more standard initial round here. We're going to see some presence taken out towards short. Railway on the boost is being cared for, though. And Foster, with a clean shot to open things up, does find those Trasko boys the opening man advantage yet again.
Yeah, I like the idea, the initiative to try and at least get the boost going, but it is something that's always going to be cleared, and Fostar's just got that accuracy on point at the moment. Well, now they're moving back all the way over towards A, pretty much with everyone. They're going to leave Fostar over towards the B side of things, I guess, to try and keep some possession. The problem is, though, I believe that's Hurtfrisk who's already pushed through, so they've regained the control already. They've got a man in connector now as well. So this is honestly a pretty strong position for IRAE, despite the numbers not being in their favour. They have the ability for a quick flank in on mid. They have the ability to catch the back of those T's as they move forward. And obviously you still have Davcost up close on the up. So this is going to be a tough one. That smoke, though, wasting a bit of time and stopping initially the vision from being found for Davcost. Actually gets caught in the transition. The second man who tries to move up connector goes down as well. Flowing, moving a bit too soon, I've got to say. They hadn't quite yet started that commitment. And they should have known that with X5, of course, up close on short. Only able to get away with one, though, as Temple trades. And honestly, Hurtfrisk should just be saving, but he wanted to give it a go on that flank up connector. But he's not able to make anything happen from it. 5-1.
Ouch. That was a little bit of a crash back down to earth for IRAE after the success in the previous round. Thought they could face it. Just got demolished on the bathrooms take, in all honesty. Losing, of course, that early man, as we said previously. Fostar expecting the boost up, dealt with Railway early, and from there it really was just a slippery slope down. Still going to see the buy coming out, though, despite, as you said, nobody being able to save in the previous. AWP will be available for Davkos, and he's going to be proactive with it here. All the way into party, looking to peer on down. Molotov will keep him trapped in, and he starts to burn, has to retreat, has to bail out. Looked for a split second like he was going to hang around for long enough to get a pick potentially onto Toxic. Instead looks to reset, and again the utility starts to come through from the T side. They start to establish themselves at the front of bathrooms. Couple of players having a little bit of a poke over towards B. That's a nice flashbang in though, and Fostar alone in towards short. Can't hold off any longer. As a result, they start to know what's going on here, the CT side. They're starting to make the rotations, cheat the player up. They've got Davkost on the corner now. Has been heard. Toxic is close, playing the headshot angle, but he's up to the task. Clean shot, 3v5. It does seem like Trasko, when they get into these early 4-on-5 situations, they're not having too much success on the conversions. Temple, the next to fall, and they're just being picked off left, right, and center here. Another near flawless round ready to be converted for IRAE. Daneko, the only player who can have a say in things, and he is hard held by Davkost, who will finish the job.
Yeah, popping off there. That's what we want to see from Davkost. Overall, it's been a slow day for the Oppers. We didn't get a ton of action coming out from Guardian in that previous series, despite the name value. I'm sure we'll be seeing more from him. I believe that team was literally just picked up by Singularity, so he's probably only starting to knuckle back down and really get into the game. Start trying to grind it out. It's been a while. And it looks like he does have some good young talent around him as well, so I'm excited for their future. Let's see what IRAE can get done. If they win this round, they do completely break Trasko, who of course have gone ahead and spent everything to try and salvage together a pretty woeful buy right here.
Oh.
And it was pretty woeful for Wonderful as well, who went down in connector to that early up shot, and that nade just adds on top of the horrors. They still want to commit quickly into B, so it's back to the place that they found their early success. And, well, actually not a bad entry at all from Temple, but Hurtfrisk is getting away with so much. Wyatt up on the ramp gets himself the double. Temple going to be good then for a second onto Railway, and now suddenly we're back into a 2-on-1 with Davkost being left alone.
OHP on the man up monster, though, is going to put Fostar in a lot of trouble. He's actually inside of the smoke. The timing as it fades is going to be a little nasty for him. Davkost now starting to clear his way out short. Temple with no health will be the first to fall. I don't know if Davkost expects Fostar to have just sat inside that smoke. He's still there, and right as it fades, he'll get the drop on him. Davkost had absolutely no idea, and I can't say I blame him. That is not the play you expect. 2v1, you've seen a smoke on front side, the bomb has just gone down. You're expecting one player to have maybe escaped Monster, one up short. Instead, Fostar happy to sit in the smoke, wait for the fade, play the timing. Trasko get away with one there on the force buy. That B bomb site has certainly been their friend, and IRAE will throw everything they've got at this. They will get a solid buyout. Davkost going glass cannon to get the AWP. But again, if this one goes wrong, Trasko have got them right on the brink of a reset.
Yeah, I mean, it really goes both ways, though. IRAE do still have their chance to break down the T side. Don't let a bomb plant happen, especially, and then Trasko would not be left with very much at all. And look at this aggression from Davkost. They want an early advantage to work off the back of, and, well, he's actually going to give it up now. Could have continued to hold the position. He actually wants to leave his teammate on a bit of a one-way smoke. I think that's going to be expected, though, so that'll be an interesting battle if it does come in, if the peak comes through from Fostar. I think he's more so just looking to avoid it, knowing it could be a one-way smoke. Loween, though, he's going to potentially find contact over on long as well. They are actually moving in for the bathrooms control as well with a couple of those players. They've got a man at the bottom of connector, so they'll probably crunch down and get that control and really just open up the options to go wherever they want. And once they do get that connector control, of course, there could be a bit of trouble for Hurtfrisk. As I say that, though, Floween eventually finds contact on long. Toxic falls, and he's trying to bait Temple around into the second player now.
It's a really nice setup. Temple's thinking about it as well. Floween's going to take the contact and just wins the fight. Doesn't even need to show the second player. The double long setup works out absolutely perfectly, and now you can see Trasko with very limited information, very limited map control to work with. Hurtfrisk aggressive into short based on that early AWP contact. He's got yet another frag, and Well, all the one-way smoke's coming out from the CT side. X5 looking to play one out towards the barrels. Looks to reset now as the bomb is picked up by Wonderful, but he's lost all his teammates yet again. A 1v5 to contend with, and neither of these sides really able to get control of the situation. Trasko had another opportunity to break, this time not quite able to get it going, and as Wonderful saves this AK-47, the loss bonus is going to be absolutely woeful, if we're being honest, for Trasko. This next force buy is going to be very ugly, and again, with all 5 players kept up, IRAE build themselves a nice little nest egg.
Yeah, they do have a... I mean, I don't know if it'd be quite enough for a full buy on everyone, especially not after Davkos buys back into his full nades and such, but there's a little bit of money there, and obviously since this isn't the full buy for Trasko, they have a chance to potentially take a relatively clean one here, potentially take a clean one in the next round then against the Eco, as you were saying, so they do have a chance to start building stuff up, and, well, let's see, because again, I mean, the shots we've been seeing hit so far from Trasko, I wouldn't count them out on these deagles, and indeed, the aggression caught in towards Connector, Flowing not having a great start to the round as a weapon is gifted over, as now 3 rifles are in the hands of that Trasko side. Railway also pretty much stuck aggressive at the moment. I was going to say potentially to be pinched in on, but Foster decides to back off. The Connector players decide that they don't really want to challenge anymore either. Instead, they want to see if they can just utilize this advantage really, and utilize the time that they've got remaining, because they could just slow this down dramatically and really have IRAE wondering what's going on. The only problem there being, of course, with that short control in favour of IRAE, they should be able to pretty much have an early warning system once this B hit starts to come.
Yeah, they've picked the wrong site, unfortunately. Daneko in top con, though's going to get Railway. And that's actually the short control lost. You can see X5 trying to scramble it back, but as the execute comes in, this B bomb site very sparsely occupied. X5 really with it all to do. Spray down onto Foster, not the cleanest thing in the world, and Daneko just straight wallbangs his target down. Hurtfrisk the next to fall, and they're doing it again, Trasko. Davkos this time 1v5. Nobody can get any control of this game. He will deal with Wonderful. Finds the initial pick. Wallbang, though, not quite connecting onto the planter, and as that bomb goes down again, have to be thinking about the save. There really isn't anything else you can do. Davkos just looking for damage on the exits. Hand-delivered rifles over to that T side. Bomb already halfway gone. But Trasko will revel in this. They're going to find out Davkos' position, and Foster's going to take him down as well. This back and forth, it's never good for a CT economy, and IRAE once again find themselves a round away from breaking. Trasko continuing to just drag themselves back into the most unlikely of rounds.
They should not be getting away with this, honestly. It's one of these situations again for IRAE like we seen yesterday, where they keep getting to the brink of breaking their opponent down completely and just falling short, even when the odds are stacked in their favour. It's a little bit tilting, I'm not gonna lie. I'm sure so for them, but I'm more so talking about as a commentator watching, because they've had so many opportunities. They've had a good chance to really get themselves going on the CT side, and while it's still kind of there with this current buy, it's not optimal. They're up against a much stronger investment from Trasko now. Davkos only got the scout over on long, I believe. I thought Toxic for a moment was waiting for the flash to come in. Indeed he is, but the shot still lands. Good damage. Nade to try and follow up to see if he can get that finish, and, well, it doesn't quite manage to do so, but he's going to stick around. This is dangerous, as he ends up giving up his life in the end because of it.
Nice shot from Wonderful to find the conversion. There is damage, of course, done. Toxic down in the single digits, but the man advantage is there again for Trasko to play with. And in what could be an absolutely critical round. Bathrooms control to be established, and you can see IRAE very limited in the information they've got. They're just turtling the respective sites. Couple of players down in fairly proactive positions on B, couple up on A. Just looking to play the crossfires, and he gives all the time and movement in the world over to Trasko, as Toxic has Bogdaned himself the AWP off of Wonderful. Timing going to be everything, though. This is an off crossfire from the CT side. Not what you see often. Hurtfrisk looks to swing. Gets the high HP of Temple gone. Now, with just 8 HP, Toxic really can't afford to go for it, so they're going to double back. They're going to go down towards this B site, and X5, not expected in the jails, got the first spray down, buys time for the rotations. Bridge player now in as well, and there's the crossfire. Railway gets another wonderful, finally puts him down, but with 8 seconds, he's going for an open plant. That leaves him in no man's land. He ducks. Whoa. Somehow he gets that bomb planted. How have they not taken him out? Wonderful gets another. And 2v2, both players low HP for this CT side. The timing's going to be everything. Wonderful continuing to frag, leaves X5, the early jail player, spotted out in a 1v2. Wonderful's the wonder kid. He's on for an ace here. Toxic will steal it away, but brutal stuff from Trasko. I have absolutely no idea how Wonderful has got away with that. That is absolute murder.
I think Flowian just didn't even bother to check because he's like, why would he be planting open? So he just tried to cross the graffiti. He didn't look, didn't realize he could have stopped the bomb plant. And with that, potentially won in the right round. So that's a heartbreaker, but wonderful. As we said coming into this, a 16-year-old. He's been a monster. He's got the highest rated stats by a decent margin for Trasko. And he just seems to have got a really solid consistency. So I'm excited for this guy's future. I'm excited to see what he keeps doing throughout this game. But Flowian, check your glasses, bro. Here we go. Rush out monster. It's going to be the Neko. He's done with the man up close. It's a knockout. His X5 goes down and, well, he's going to have to log in. He'll need a new Steam code to play in the next round.
Oh, we're able to at least salvage one, and he is buying time for the rotations, but Daneko's found another. Couple of Deagles. Davkos should be able to grab one. Nope, nobody's around him, so instead of Deagle and a USP to work with, Trasko on board for a 9th. Just hanging around, Flowian. Kind of stuck. Looking for exits. HGs to come in, chipping him further and further down. There's no real value in hunting these for the T side. Taking away the armor, sure, I suppose you could argue, but Davkos on just the USP will be able to get a kill. They'll take that. Some damage at the very least, as they will be looking for the buy into the next. But Trasko, this T-sided dominance continues off the back of some pretty nutty fragging from Daneko. Just wandering out onto that B-bomb site and ripping players' heads clean off. Will be a buy in this one for IRAE to try and salvage at least a couple of rounds. A 10-5, 9-6 half. Feels like a long way away, but a couple of rounds and a reset onto Trasko and it becomes an entirely different picture.
Yeah, there's been those opportunities. This isn't a great buy by any means. Nades are lacking. There's no kit in play either. And so far, Trasko have been pretty successful at getting onto those bomb sites. So it's definitely a worry. Flowian taking a very aggressive stance on A. Swung all the way forward and I don't believe was spotted. So he should be able to get early info if anyone moves in this direction. Obviously, connectors, something they still have to worry a little bit about. But it does seem like they're going to, for now anyway, just rotate that 4th player down towards B. In one of the rounds where Trasko actually don't move quite as quickly on towards B, they are still definitely favouring towards that side of the map, and they do start to shift everyone back in that direction now, just as I say it. So they are risking walking into a stack. I don't think Flowian's going to get that flank on too fast. X5 blinded up, as was Fostar though. Caught by his teammates Flash, unfortunately. Otherwise, that kill probably would have been his for the taking.
Looked a little funky, but missed opportunity. 50 seconds left on the clock, and again, Trasko find themselves a man down. They've got pretty decent conversion stats for these kind of rounds. 30% conversion rate when down in the 4v5 on Overpass. Looking for a little bit of a boost to try and equalize things. Timing going to be everything. Pot Flash to get this man up, but not going to see anyone out. CT side happy to hunker down, and now that clock starts to get lower and lower. Things start to get more and more awkward. Wonderful on 2 HP, gets the pick. Takes the bullets, deals with it. Levels things out, and with 20 seconds left, they have to commit to B. Now, this is the only site they can get. If Hurtfrisk and Railway can buy 10 seconds, then the round is done. It's an early 1-for-1, but Temple's dealt with Hurtfrisk. And now with a mid-site smoke, they should be able to get that bomb planted. Short flank coming in the meanwhile might be an issue in the future. Toxic will go down, but Wonderful again has quickly traded it out. A 1v2. Wonderful on 2 HP. Temple with only 56 to work with, and Flowian on an unexpected flank at the moment. Wonderful hard scoped on short. Temple is watching for this, but if he loses his fight, Wonderful has really got nothing to work with, and there's the first. Wonderful up close and personal, hits the headshot, double digits. The AWP are doing it all once again. Another big triple on a late B entry. And Trasko, well, they are putting a lot of faith in the kid.
Yeah, and he's been doing a pretty good job so far. Sorry, I seen the chat's reaction to the Flowian and not spotting the planter moment. They were freaking out a little bit, as were we. That was a bit of a goof. Not going to lie, but it happens. I'm pretty blind myself, so it happens to me a lot. I'm not going to lie. But 10-3 for Trasko. They are putting in a tremendous T-side right now. And while this is their map choice, that's still a pretty good T-side, all things considered. And of course, with Nuke coming up next, it's one that they are definitely capable of playing, despite it being IRAE's map choice. So it's a scary position to be in if you're in the IRAE right now. They definitely want to try and salvage these final 2 CT rounds. And they're taking a slightly different approach. I don't think we've seen them put really much pressure around Connector at all. I think the last time they put a player down here was when they were up against the Pistols and they ended up losing it.
Now, I'd normally like this idea, but I've got no hard stats to support this, but it feels like about 85% of the time Trasko have been heading towards B. And with this Connector stack in play, IRAE have left the B site wide open. X5 admittedly is on short control, but if Trasko just go quietly out monster here, it's a free site. Heaven Smoke should give the game away, but Toxic's got a pick, and now they're working it out. They're working out this B site is wide open. It's a missed smoke, but it doesn't even matter in the grand scheme of things. The utility comes in. The site is taken. Fast short flank might be good for one. Timing going to be everything as Temple actually just manages to skirt away out the back of Monster. The smoke that hit him, helping him out. 4v5, CT side again, asked to retake. Very difficult circumstances. Daneko a little too aggressive. He'll be the first to fall. They've managed to level it out at the very least, and Wonderful's been flashed off his angle. Plenty of presence here, but they're baiting the peaks out. Wonderful misses the shot. Temple only able to get one of these 2 remaining Monster players, only just about trading it. Railway now looking to stick the defuse. The support on the backstab is there from Flowian and IRAE. The 4v5 B retake sticks. They make me eat my words. The Connector play works out. They have their 4th round. And an opportunity to salvage a respectable CT side.
Ooh, I don't know about that one. On 5, it'll be a good recovery, yeah, but in terms of what they would have wanted, I don't know if it'd be quite that good. I don't know if I'd necessarily call it respectable either. But it'd be better than it was looking to be, and that's really all that matters. Your best to recover, and it's then if they can get the pistol round going into that second half, and maybe even the first gun round, that things really start looking juicy. So, see how things go. They've still got to ensure that they take this final round. I don't think it's a given at all, even with the slight weaknesses rather into that buy with a Mac-10 and a Galil for Trasko to work with. They do still have plenty of rifles. They've got quite a bit of utility behind it as well for those executes, and well, as we know, they love B. They really love this B-bomb site. It's been heavily favoured towards, and, well, IRAE, despite knowing that, at times have struggled to hold it down. Good start, though, for Railway and Hurt Frisk, and, well, the only trade so far is actually through that smoke from Wonderful. Obviously, I jinx us slightly, and Toxic gets himself a second, and now he catches Railway. A 2-on-2 suddenly. They have so much time as well that they really aren't forced to make this commitment. They can fall back, and they're going to immediately run it back to the spawn. Could go A, but could also really do anything with it at this stage.
And that's going to be the real problem from IRAE. 2v2, no information to work with. All the time in the world for Trasko to work out what they want to do. Early smoke down front. Banana is actually going to give the game away a little bit. Will start to steal a rotation. Davkos making his way up, but on the jump peak sees nothing. Understandable that he'd want to stay grouped with the other side of the defense. They need to play this together. Can't afford to get into isolated 1v1s. Couple of flashes and a smoke still available to give a little bit of breathing room. Davkos thinking about stealing a rotation up as Trasko do sneak their way out long. They are starting to transfer over to this site right as Davkos looks to put himself in position. Toxic, he presses the issue too hard. He's right into the scope. Missed shot from Davkos, and the punishment eventually comes through. A little awkward, but the frag is found regardless. And now Flowian with that spam through has given the game away. They know where to look for him. Toxic on the dumpster. Holding from truck. Wonderful on the mid-site. It's a nice crossfire. They can bait and switch. The double peak comes in. Toxic has it. 11-4 at the half. Dominance from Trasko. And they'll look to shut things down after the break. Dominance to start things off from the Trasko boys on their map pick. 11-4 up at the halfway point. And I mean, we weren't expecting too different. You know, IRAE, they don't play a hell of a lot of Overpass. They haven't looked too consistent on it when they have played it. And now Trasko, 5 rounds away from putting the nail in this coffin. Pistol round utterly essential for the IRAE lads.
Yeah, it's a must pick up. Fairly standard actually play on the initial peak here. Just Toxic with the spawn, peeking through, everyone else down on B. And, well, they should be able to shift the player back up now that he did get a bit of vision for himself. But it doesn't look like they're actually going to budge too quickly on the rotates. In fairness though, IRAE aren't moving all that fast either off of mid. So it is still a situation rather, where they could bring this towards either of those bomb sites. And I was going to say, might want to even just take the connector control to open up the options, even if the goal is still A. But no, happy enough to execute forward. The problem is now they're walking into a 3-man stacked bomb site. Wonderful going to be up close as well. The Wonder Kid he seems to be so far, he struggles to get any shots off or just to get opportunities initially, and his teammates just kind of get toppled all around him. Only a single kill to be found on that A-hold, despite the stack that was in place, Wolfie.
Chaos is always a wonderful thing for a T side, and they managed to sow the seeds of it pretty brilliantly there. Clean stuff from the IRAE lads. It will be a 5th round on the board. Ostar just hoping to save some armor, a little bit of something behind it. Gonna be hunted though, and Davkos, there's the execution. IRAE, a little bit of a confidence booster on the pistol, smooth sailing into the A site, and of course Trasko, if they do want to force into this one, it's going to be very ugly indeed. CT force buy is just never all that great, and as the AKs start to come out for IRAE, it looks very, very rough. It is going to be the force buy though. And we've seen what some of these guys can do with a deagle in hand, so by no means a done deal.
Yeah, good start for IRAE. Again, though, we've seen the deagles actually steal some rounds away in that last half for Trasko. So it can be a little bit easier to get it done sometimes on the T side, to be fair. Don't have to spread out your resources, you can utilize them more so together. Oh, good spray control by Davkos. Just as he's getting around the corner on a tight angle. There's 2 more players here to deal with. Is that going to be expected now is the question, but they do at least have numbers moving up long, or they did. Going to push a couple back around through mid, which is probably a good idea considering you have Wonderful up close in the bathrooms, but he's going to be ready for it. Temple deals with the man on long. Wonderful spins around, doesn't quite get away with it, but gets a lot closer to doing so than he should have, as we suddenly fall to a 3-on-2, as the situation looks to be just kind of redeemed here from Hurt Frisk. Toxic though, he's actually lurking around the bathroom, so we'll see what he can do from here.
He's got a nice angle, potentially to abuse with a minute left on the clock. The problem is the support is so far away. Ostar up on short. There is a slight gap in this smoke, and Toxic gonna look to abuse it, but Hurtfrisk is aware and he's ready for it. Ostar with only a 5-7 in Kevlar. They've done some good damage here, and that long setup looked like it deserved a little more than it got, but 1v3, 5-7 in Kevlar up against 3 AK-47s is never going to be the most likely of circumstances, as that A site's going to be overwhelmed. The round should be taken, and I think Fostar would do well maybe to head up towards long, try and nab one of those rifles, Dean?
Ooh, I mean, there's one down the back. I don't believe they got rid of it, so it could be worth a shot, but obviously risks losing his own Kevlar in 5-7, and it does seem like IRAE will probably be able to leave a player hanging onto the area. Indeed, they've already sent Flo in back over, and well, while his vision was a bit of a problem earlier, I don't think he'd miss a man trying to pick up a gun down long. So yeah, happy enough to just, I believe, concede the 6th round without taking a rifle with him. He'll be happy enough to have the 5.7 and the armor, get a few kills in the next one, do some damage, keep the economy fairly low for INDA IRAE at least, and then just hope to come alive in this next gun round and get back to what had been the dominance, as you said, coming back into the second half here. It was kind of a different story for INDA IRAE during that first half. It was a stark contrast of dominance and despair, really.
Yeah. I'll have to wait and see what they can do from it. 3 rifles kept up, a nice little money maker, and as expected, the eco to come through from Trasko, of course, looking for the rifle buys into the next. So the gap should be down at around 4 rounds before things really start to get interesting. A little bit of a redeemer at the very least for INDA IRAE. But of course, with Nuke on the horizon, I think the concerning thing is, as you said, how hot some of these Trasko players are looking. Obviously, you know, we're going to highlight Wonderful. He's been hitting some pretty nutty shots. His stats back that up, but Daneko and Foster aren't too far behind him. Daneko actually leading him on kills at the moment. Definitely feels like a Trasko side is fairly stacked with talent, if we're being honest. Just having a quick look now, none of the guys on HLTV on less than a 1.0 rating. Of course, this is against largely regional opposition, but they're starting to work their way out of Russia now, and they're starting to hit up some pretty serious results. So I think not qualifying for IEM Fall CIS will be a fairly major concern for them as the pause keeps on going. Got to imagine this is a technical one. I'm sure the production guys will fill us in. But there we go. Soon as I'm starting to rattle on about tech pauses, it disappears before my eyes, and we get back into the action with a selection of P250s as Foster saves his 5.7.
Nice. It's like when you've been sitting in a queue for like 5 minutes or something in CS and you're just like, why is this taking so long? And it instantly pops.
Yeah, literally.
You just gotta call it out. That's all it is. But as you said, yeah, an assortment of P250s, the 5.7 that was saved over, they have a bit of a chance here. They should be able to achieve a kill or two, especially as they pull a flash in. See if that can be used at a good time and they catch a few players off guard and maybe even steal some weapons away. Although they do go a bit early, expecting the full-on B rush. It's the approach that they themselves probably would have taken into this round if they were on the T side, so you can understand trying to, I guess, play to counter your own style, but things are played a little bit slower when it comes to INDA IRAE. Although, as I say that, I do realise Davcost has already charged his way all the way up a long, but this is going to be kind of dangerous because he's got 5 players coming back at him. I think he's heard a ton of those footsteps, though, so he's begun to back away, and they should be able to run the bomb down connector to B now. But a couple players are already outside of Monster, hanging around.
Pistols are absolutely charging here. You just want to take some fights, just get some confidence built up, I think. Davcost on the Mac 10, going to start farming away, though. Of course, unarmored, it's always very rough against the SMGs. Davcost doubling his account. And exactly as expected, that bomb dives down Con. That'll rotate off to B. The round is done off the back of it. Wonderful with the P250, not quite able to connect. Davcost next up on the issue list. Isn't going to clear his backlines, though, so Foster's save 5.7 will finally come good. Of course, very quickly going to be hunted down here by the AK-47s. Foster spotted out, shot in the back. Wonderful, last alive, only a P250. The range of the AK wins out. So a gap of 4, only 1 man lost in the previous round as well. A nice little moneymaker for INDA IRAE as now things start to get interesting.
Yeah, we're getting into the real gun round. We'll find out if INDA IRAE can keep this up. Because, of course, here on the T side, it can be tough to make a comeback happen on Overpass, but also on the CT side, if you keep getting broken between these gun rounds back and forth onto ecos, then it's also pretty frustrating. So that'll be the goal of INDA IRAE. Focus looking like it's going to be a bit more so towards A, connector and in towards mid, so they'll probably want to try and pinch in on the aggressive push, rather. That could be coming through from the CTs up towards the party and such. And that does look to be the case. They were moving relatively quickly, but it's going to be pretty much just conceded by Trasko. They're happy to leave Wonderful over on the long corner. A little bit of a stack, I believe, as they sent the Neko down towards B. So far, nothing too crazy from Trasko. It was really just show initial aggression, make INDA IRAE be cautious as they move forward, force them to use some of their nades and such. Although they do have a nice boost going on here on B. Railway not quite getting division. The Neko a little bit further into the left there. I think he should be okay for now, but we'll see if anything comes of that boost in a moment.
Quite able to spot out what they were after. The IRAE just resetting over towards the A site, which at the moment is more sparsely occupied of the two, rather. Wonderful is up here with the AWP in hand. But again, that utility already gone from the CT side. Really nothing to stall this hit out. It's going to have to be the shots connected. Wonderful, the first man to be tested. Holding this banana angle for all he's worth. The smoke's come over the top. He's very aggressive on it. He needs to hit this shot, and he doesn't. The leg of Davkos shows, but it's not enough. And Floyan with a clean headshot deals with Toxic. Round over. Needed Wonderful to go up big on the A site there, and he just didn't quite react to that in time. Got to imagine he was looking at something else. Trying to assess the situation, assess the rotations potentially. 3 players on the CT side look to save. The hunt could start to come through. I mean, Railway and X5 have got plenty of money to reinvest, but I think IRAE are more worried about their finances than anyone else's.
I mean, they could afford to hunt onto a few of the players. It definitely wouldn't be a bad thing to build their money up even further than what they have now, especially with Trasko still having a bit of a lead, obviously. But if they were really looking to, they could send out a couple of the players, but no, they're not. They're happy enough to sit back, it seems. They actually just charged back to the spawn. The fact that Railway had gone down connector had me thinking maybe he'd consider going for it, considering he had a ton of money. You can see after the round ends, actually has 9,000. But with the 3 weapons being carried over, we should actually see a decent enough buy coming in from Trasko. You can see drops given to both Wonderful and Toxic. Unfortunately, they're not going to get the up onto Wonderful as of yet, which obviously was a very impactful weapon back on that previous half. I think they'll be happy that they are able to at least salvage something into play. They realise things are getting a little bit out of control now, so they do actually bring a pause through. This one, it is a tactical, no more technicals. We'll see if I jinx that and one starts in about 10 seconds, watch. But in the IRAE, looking much, much better on the T side here so far.
Yeah, it's starting to get just a little bit worrying. The boys on Trasko, traditionally a little stronger on the CT side. Handful of rifles available into this one. Of course, that saved 3-man stack really forms the backbone of it. Going to be a little more proactive this time. Down connector, 2 players, but Davkost is here. They're going to go for the boost, looking to peer into short. There is a push underneath them coming through, and if Toxic doesn't get this kill, they're in trouble. Molotov actually forces both of them to bail out. Can't decide if that's a good or a bad thing for the CT side. They'll reset. Have to play far more passively towards the upper site. And again, IRAE are doing what they do best here. Just playing slow, steady, methodical. Taking the connector control. Bled out a lot of that early CT utility already. Just starting to show a little bit of face. Couple of players starting to clear their way through playground in towards party. Few pressuring in towards B. That flash doesn't quite catch Davkost. He's alone, but he's got support starting to rotate in. Railway forces Temple off the aggression. Awkward spray for Temple on the 401S, and out of nowhere, it's a 3-on-5 for the CT side with Daneko alone down on B. He's in for hell on earth here. 3 players creeping out Monster, making a 4th on fast rotation. Daneko does well to even get one. Wonderful trying to rotate in, but Herfrisk has got his man on site. And once again, the save has to be called. The gap gets narrower and narrower, and Trasko, they are just not finding any kind of traction on that CT side.
No, they're being just rolled over at the moment, to be honest. Solid entries consistently coming in from Herfrisk and Railway, and they were 2 of the names that we had said had stood out the last day. X5 has been still kind of missing throughout this game, but we had also mentioned how it did seem like really anyone is capable of stepping up when it's needed. So they've got the frags there, at least at the moment, and he's got a bit of time to step up and potentially even be another contributing factor to this comeback. Nice shot by Herfrisk, damn. Toxic, I didn't expect him to actually be forward of the half wall there. I thought he'd be back a little bit further alongside Wonderful, who now needs to fight to hang on to his gun and actually can't do it. It's caught just as the bomb goes off. Herfrisk stops both of those weapons from being saved over, so while they didn't want to go for the hunt in the round before, they were happy to do so now with a little bit of extra economy already built up. And, well, they have a chance to keep on building on top of it, because this one should be an eco coming in from Trasko, so double digits most likely in the IRAE, getting themselves back into full swing.
Handful of deagles. Little bit of utility, couple of smokes, flash and a HE, but as you said, this one's starting to get very, very sketchy for Trasko on their map pick, and a map pick that statistically they have to be winning every day of the week. IRAE just resurgent so far on the T side of things. Heavy stack on the pistols, of course. Got to try something a little bit different. Looking for some peaks. Nice flash over. Though in a little bit isolated now, but the spray down will connect onto the first. Spots out the second man. He knows he's going to be rushed down. He's calling for the support. How much more can he get done? Clean headshot deals with Daneko. And off the back of that, already with the opening 3-on-5, you can see, based on the aggression, IRAE know that B site's largely unoccupied. They start to sneak their way out. Toxic has at least made the rotation into water to try and have some kind of impact here. X5 not expecting it. Will go down to the spam, but once more it's quickly traded away. The B-bomb site wide open for the taking, and Temple and Wonderful once more just looking for damage.
Oh, and Wonderful catches Hurtfrisk getting a bit aggressive into the spawn. Slightly early, the bomb hadn't even quite been planted yet. Thankfully, he was fairly far back from the wall, so the weapon's actually a pretty tough recovery. You've got a man up close, you've got the up here in the back, back towards Monster, rather. Flowing, it's kind of miles away. I don't think it'll really be needed because they're not moving in for the retake, of course. Yeah, I think Temple's just given up on the hopes of potentially getting himself that AK. Happy enough to have at least done the that they've done the bit of damage. Yeah, to save at least again to come in. 10 though for IRAE. It goes as expected, a bit of damage being connected, but I mean it's not really impactful at this stage because IRAE have done so much to build up the economy over the past few rounds. They've got 4 players well above 10,000 coming into this one. X5, he's got a little bit less. I expected him to actually get dropped an AK, but he just went and bought it himself anyway. Definitely could have evened the money out a small bit more. Well, either way, my point stands that they really aren't going to worry with the economy for quite a while. Trasko not only have to now start picking up some rounds on the CT side, but they have to take multiple in a row dominantly if they want to make it happen, because it's just going to be gun rounds galore for IRAE.
They've hit the panic button. Double up setup's been bought up. Wonderful gets primary. Temple to pick up secondary, and this is it. This double up setup, so expensive to invest into and pretty expensive to maintain if you can't be consistently saving them. So this really feels like the final roll of the dice for Trasko's CT side. They've tried everything else, nothing's worked. Now they've gone big with the double green to see if they can get it landing. Wonderful going to take his out towards long. Temple will occupy the lower site. And again, IRAE just settling into the exact same default. We've seen it from them time and again. Slow probing control. Pretty aggressive from Railway up connector on this occasion, though. Let's take the early map control. And the counter seems to be this idea of short aggression. Flashbang is good, though. Forces the secondary author off his first angle. Happily onto the second. Flowing the first to fall. And this is more like it from the CT side. Fostar still posted aggressively on short. The wallbangs connecting for good exchanges. Daneko down on half HP. And I don't think Railway expects the second man to be tucked in quite so closely. Trasko with the opening man advantage for the first time in a long time. That molly not quite going to flush Fostar out into the open. And as he stays here, he's getting so much information for the CT side.
Yeah, it confirms that no one's actually pushing through. They know it's the fake and that they can just rotate those players back up. And you can see Daneko's on his way. And well, with IRAE themselves moving pretty slowly, that defense is going to be more than well set up by the time they do eventually get here. Although it could have Trasko, in theory, I guess, second out in themselves. They could have moved back towards Monster, but that flash, I think, is going to give them pretty much the confirmation. Toxic wants the swing. He does have a flash come over from a teammate, thankfully. Takes Davcost off the angle, deals tons of damage, and while Toxic up close now, ready for that push. Wonderful, trying to swing in and help out. The smoke actually made it a little bit more awkward, so the trade at least was available for the T's. But the Neko's still standing strong, and as I had said, with Davcost already tagged up heavily from earlier on, it's going to be a pretty easy finish. But again, they don't even bother peeking in without the flash. There's good teamwork at the moment, good calls for that utility to come in.
Really nicely played. They saved the double AWP setup as well, Trasko. I think that's the most critical thing to note. That has been the catalyst. And they will be able to maintain it. Very expensive, though, as I said. You look over and they are nearly fully invested again. Whereas IRAE, despite the failure, despite the reinvestment, X5 is the only player struggling. Railway still got 10k in the bank, so not going to get any easier. Trasko have made it a long way home for themselves. Going to do the hard graph, though, and this time it's Toxic taking fountain control. I like this from Trasko. They've struggled a little bit when they've sat back on the site, so now they've got the utility, they've got the firepower, they're being very proactive with it. Temple again occupies the initial angle on short, just falls back with the flashes, but the fountain aggression gives so much control over to Trasko. Toxic, even if he doesn't go for the backstab down, Con can call this with near enough perfect certainty the B hit. And there's no way this T side of IRAE expects such an early flank through. Could be on for a lot of damage here. Isn't going to catch the two players who are inside the monster smoke. Dabcost, however, will go down on the backstab. Spray connects, and now Foster with support in tow, and Railway isolated on the bomb finds his first. 3 players for the CT side down on this B bomb site. 1 close in hell. They're going to try and double back. But Toxic has read it like a book. He's bailed out of this flank at the perfect moment. He's wasting so much of INDA's time. And he's just going to escape out long. It's going to be a free take as INDA spend 20 seconds clearing all the close angles in spawn. He's out of there.
Yeah, falling up through long back towards the bomb site. There is a player pushing up short, but I don't know if he's going to be really ready to catch him fading back. And even then, actually, Toxic just decides to stick around on long itself. So, oh, the timing. No, I was going to say he should have a decent position to at least get away with one more. But he ends up getting caught off guard horribly as he flicks his crosshair off the corner as X5 pops around. Wonderful back towards Bankit. Actually decided to take an incredibly passive hold, rather. I guess with the advantage, didn't really need to press the issue. Instead, happy to play for the retake. And well, let's see what this boost can find. Waiting for the smoke to fade to potentially spot the head of Railway in behind the bomb site. It's taking its time, and Fostar just not being given any opportunities right now. That bomb's starting to tick away. The peak comes in. They work together on it. Catching the first kill, but of course the trade at least ready back from Temple, but they line up for Railway. Takes both heads, and Flowian then, I believe, helping out his teammate there by actually just wallbanging straight through the corner of the box. A strong find, but the lineup for Railway was really the highlight right there. So crisp on both. It's 12-11. We're one round, and there's one round between them. And Trasko can't really do much to stop that round from being given to IRAE.
Not a good look. The timing on Toxic was nasty. Punished for it. And IRAE, as you said, up against the half buy once again. Foster buys the M4, goes for the hero rifle. Temple, at the very least, is able to pick up an SMG, but Deagle's for everyone else. What was such a promising situation with that consistent investment into the double ults falls apart at the seams. An opportunity for IRAE to level up here on Overpass. A little bit of a stacking connector on the Deagles. M4 taking short control. I like the idea. It's putting some kind of pressure at the very least on IRAE, but again, the timings are going to be a little bit rough. This T side have been so happy to sit back. Hurt Frisk clearing his angles somewhat meticulously. Wonderful's Deagle spam will deal with him, but everyone else is just sneaking their way up onto a very sparsely occupied A site. Daneko tucked in close truck is the only CT player there to meet them. The rotations are starting to come through, but the timing's going to be incredibly difficult. Daneko, nothing he can do, gets a tag and nothing more, and now the site occupied. Railway doubles up, and this round again starts to fall apart. Nades into CT. Damage done onto Toxic. Hoping for something through the smoke, through the wallbang, but with nothing given, they do well at this point, in all honesty, to save the M4 and the AK.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely the right call. Wonderful, I mean, he's got Kevlar, but still, I think it could be worth for him to stick around. Maybe if someone hunts down and towards the spawn, try and steal away another one of those guns and do a tiny bit more damage, because they had started to put a dent in the economy of IRAE. Unfortunately, this round is likely going to build it back up into just, again, such a strong position that I don't think it will be an issue for the rest of the game, really, I don't believe. They're happy enough to just carry over everything. I understand, especially for Wonderful with him going towards the op. He'll be able to save himself a bit of money by not having to take out the Kevlar, although that's obviously if he wants to sacrifice the helmet, which against AKs he's fine with doing. Gets a few extra nades, gets to pull out the kit as well. And they're back onto the double op setup, as you said, which they started to pull out a little while back. It hasn't been fantastic for them yet, though. If we're being honest, it really hasn't paid quite the dividends it should be. With only a single round so far actually being found here on the CT side. So this is where they need to, I guess, change their fortunes. Otherwise, it's going to be IRAE putting themselves up a map and potentially stealing away the one Trasko's map choice here, rather, and then heading on to Nuke, where I believe they have a 100% win ratio in recent times, even. Indeed, they do. Not a super large sample size, to be fair.
No, only 4 maps played, but the problem is for Trasko, that only CT round they've got was the double up setup, getting the majority of the work done. Temple's initial aggression on short, rewarded. Fostar posted as a result, and then Wonderful able to get a couple of picks over on A as they look to double back on the IRAE side of things. So they're starting to feel quite reliant on it. This time, silent sneak up Banana, looking to catch Toxic and Wonderful unawares. Here's the flash in. Toxic needed it, can't land it. Now Wonderful, again, forced back by the mollies. Nothing he can really do. The site will have to be conceded. They are at least rotating a second man up to have a poke at this, but with Hurtfrisch still catching the connector rotates. Fostar, good kill found, but again, they're losing men all the while. Florian's found a pick onto Daneko on site, and they know this flank is coming. They're watching for it. There's two players here ready and waiting. Smoke out to try and give Fostar a little bit of room, but there's more utility available for the T side. They're just going to stall him out. They're just going to give him no room to breathe, spam through the smoke. And with Temple deep down behind him, that double up setup has to be saved. They've invested so heavily into it, and the punishment looks to come through. Davkos does drop his AWP as he looks to hunt down Temple, but IRAE, I don't think they'll be too concerned at all. They have flooded with cash, and they are going to try and hunt down these remaining AWPs. Pushing out a short. Nice shot from Temple. Should at this point be able to hold on to it, but he goes for one too many. Florian with the punishment, and now it gets awkward again. They will be able to buy, but sacrifice is being made, and IRAE absolutely running away with this T side.
That was just unnecessary from Temple. They know the economy is ridiculous from IRAE. He is not going to get anything really from taking that extra kill for himself. The only thing that could have happened was that he risks losing the op, and well, yeah, he did. Now he's stuck onto an M4. Not too bad. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but as you said, the one round they've actually got so far was off the back of that double op setup working out, so not ideal that they're going to throw it away when they had the opportunity to potentially save it over, although he might have also slowed him down. We don't never really know. Railway, though, that flash was absolutely perfect from Flowey, landing in the back corner, I believe, of Connector, catching Toxic, who wanted to aggress, but it was solo. There was no one there to back him up, no chance of a trade. And again, an early advantage goes the way of IRAE, as they just look so dominant. We didn't think it could get any more dominant than what Trasko showed on the previous half. They've shown an incredible T-side themselves so far, and, well, let's see, can Trasko finally start to shut it down? A trade, at least this time, from Wonderful is dear.
Needs a lot more from the AWPer. Playing in parallel with the MP9 of Daneko. Still a minute left on the clock, though, and by no means committed on the IRAE side of things. The bomb actually making its way back down towards B. Utility to try and sell the fake, not going to be bought, and Temple's aggression on short is well placed to deal with this. Not sure the T-side will be expecting it at all. Florian's going to go alone and deals with it. Clean one tap. Once again, it's falling apart. The spray down from Fostar, only good for the one. And Wonderful and Daneko with a big decision to make. The wallbang doesn't connect initially. The nade only chips away at X5. And they can't really commit to this, can they? Wonderful looking desperate for a pick that would justify giving this a commitment. IRAE going to give them absolutely none, and at this point, again, with the bomb already halfway ticked, they do well to save. Hold on to what they've got. They're thinking about giving this a go. They're going for a little bit of a prod out of CT, but Wonderful's pulled the plug on it. IRAE have 14, 3 players survive, and it goes from bad to worse for Trasko.
Yeah, it's beginning to look a bit hopeless, if I'm being honest. Again, the save of a couple of weapons comes through, and it will allow them to buy. They can actually just about buy on those other players anyway, but I think you'll probably see... Well, maybe actually, it could be worthwhile perhaps for Daneko to just upgrade his MP9 to an M4, rather than dropping it at anyone. Toxic's actually just going to grab an MP9. They're going to go for the half buy. Are they playing for an overtime? Kind of. I mean, it's still a buy that they could win the round with. But it seems like, yeah, considering it's been such a struggle, they're not confident that they'd be able to get it done with the kind of limited nades without the double up setup again, perhaps. So they're willing to go half in now and then try and play for that OT. Not what I expected, Wolfie.
Just says volumes, I think, about the confidence of Trasko. Not feeling it at all on the CT side of Overpass and being punished at every turn. We'll get the short control. A couple of players pushed up. Nice early find. A little bit of a jump peek from Fostar as well. Spotted out by Florian. Again, Wonderful. Not quite connecting the early shot. He's tagged down to 43. They're trying to turtle in towards these sites, but once again, Such an awkward situation when you don't have the firepower to really contest. You need to be proactive, and Wonderful's punished. Orp, at the very least, is recoverable. Fostar will get it, but already a man down. Temple now asked a lot of this round. Railway, not aware of his position, will go down early. The Deagle spam's doing good work, but it can't quite convert. Florian gets away with one, and 4v3. Fostar aware that he's got to come up with something, got to pull a trick out of the hat here. He's being pinched from two sides. Short connector, and in fact, Monster misses his first shot. Flank comes in and should indeed does deal with Florian. This is getting very chaotic. With 30 seconds left, they really do have to commit to B. Foster posted on this AWP. 3 players in towards short now. They want to clear out this connector play, but if Toxic can buy time, then it's all over. He can't. X5 with a clean headshot, and with 20 seconds left, they double it back. They need to get onto this site very quickly, and Daneko knows it. 12 seconds left. He posts himself. If he can deny the cross, it's all over, but Hurtfrisk again comes up with the goods. The bomb to go down. It's a little scrappy, a little rough around the edges, but IRAE will not care. This is 15. Foster cannot afford to be throwing the AWP at this. Even with the loss bonus going their way, that is just not viable. So it will be 3 map points. 3 opportunities for IRAE to take Trasko's map pick away from them. And after such a dominant start for Trasko to only register 1 CT round, it's almost unforgivable.
It's been insane. I haven't seen an Overpass game this T-sided maybe ever. If I'm being honest, this has just been absolutely ridiculous. Both sides having incredibly dominant T-side showings. It's exciting. I will agree with that. Trasko are just struggling to get anything done at all. Star at least managing to tuck himself in there towards Graffiti, so yep, gets carried over. They've had saves, they've been able to save weapons plenty of times. So far, it hasn't been enough for them to really get anything going apart from that sole round. And, well, they can't afford to have that happen once again. It's 3 in a row, of course, that they need to take us to an overtime here. On their own map choice. It looked almost done. We were like, yeah, cool, they're taking their own map here. We'll go on to Nuke where things are going to be closer. But no, IRAE had a whole different plan in mind, apparently.
Oh, and look at this call. Fast B. Straight through it. The utility's good from the CT side. The damage is significant, but the early frags against them. Temple, what have you got for a secondary AWP? Buys time. Gets the initial pick, and they're actually going to double back out of it. The flank is red and expected. Railway deals with Toxic. They've left X5 just to have a poke around this smoke, just to try and sell the idea. He's now going to bail out. There is damage onto a couple of players. This is not a done deal yet. Wonderful is posted in the bathrooms. If he can get the kill and fall back, then he buys a lot of time for his teammates. Aggressive with it, yet to be tested. IRAE just cutting the sound cues, and they're actually going to go back down the connector. Temple is watching for this. He's on the angle, he's in the right spot. Has the support of Daneko behind him. Timing is going to be absolutely everything here. Do make their way out short. A little bit of utility thrown just to bait Wonderful into hanging around a couple seconds longer. They've actually got Davkos posted as well now. How much does Wonderful get done? Missed shot. Resets on the divider. Now the flank starts to come in. X5, but Temple's got one. Pivots, can't quite find it. Isolated now. Daneko alone in towards CT. He can potentially deny the bomb crossing. Timing's going to be everything, though, and Florian will be able to get it down. X5 now in a perfect afterpart position. The nade tries to dunk in, but X5 does one better. Head removed. IRAE on the precipice of stealing the map pick away. 1v3, Wonderful in towards heaven, and he's just pinned in. There's nothing he can do. Davkos puts the final nail in the coffin, and 16-12.